Every year you tell yourself the same thing. This year I'll finally break out. But you don't, and it's not because of money. It's because you repeat the same identity with a different calendar. If you've ever wondered why nothing really changes year after year, this is the part you've been blind to. Stickman. Let's talk about the identity loop you keep calling being responsible. Most people don't repeat habits every year. They repeat identity. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. 1. You reset goals, not identity. People believe a new year creates a new version of them. They change intentions, but keep the same internal rules. Your brain doesn't respond to goals. It responds to identity consistency. You don't ask, who am I being? You ask, what should I try next? Stickman writes new goals every January while wearing the same mental uniform he's worn for years. Same fears, same approval reflexes, same definition of responsible, different notebook. But this isn't even the real loop yet. 2. Responsibility became a personality. I'm just being responsible. Responsibility turns into self-policing. At some point, responsibility stopped being a behavior and became an identity badge. You don't do things because you want to. You do them because people like me should. Stickman avoids discomfort, risk, and change, then calls it maturity. Responsibility becomes the excuse that keeps you predictable. Most people never question who defined responsible for them. 3. You confuse stability with safety. If nothing's broken, don't change anything. You slowly trade growth for emotional numbness. The brain equates familiar patterns with safety even when those patterns quietly limit you. You're not calm, you're contained. Stability isn't safety, it's familiarity your brain refuses to question. Stickman lives a perfectly stable year and feels strangely restless by December. But here's the twist that most people miss. 4. You keep negotiating with an invisible audience. I can't just do that. All choices are filtered through imagined judgment. Your identity is still shaped by people who aren't even watching anymore. Parents, co-workers, friends from 10 years ago. A version of society that lives rent-free in your head. Stickman imagines an audience every time he considers trying, then backs down before anyone even reacts. And here's where the real trap reveals itself. The year isn't repeating, you are. The year isn't looping, you are. Your calendar changes, your circumstances shift, but your self-image never updates. So every year feels familiar, predictable, comfortably disappointing. The middle-class trap isn't economic, it's psychological inertia. Now let's talk about why breaking the loop feels so threatening. 5. You're loyal to the version of you that survived. This version of me got me here. You stay loyal to an identity built for survival, not expansion. Your brain protects past versions of you even when they're outdated. You don't stay stuck because you failed. You stay stuck because the old version of you once worked. Stickman defends old habits because they once kept him safe. But safety isn't the same as relevance, and this is where most people quietly quit. 6. Discomfort feels like regression, not growth. If this feels wrong, it must be wrong. You retreat the moment identity friction shows up. Any real identity shift feels like loss before it feels like freedom. You feel irresponsible, uncertain, exposed. So you retreat back to what feels like you. Stickman steps toward change, then panics and calls it being smart. But there's one final reason the loop keeps resetting every year. 7. You end the year the same way you started it. Next year will be different. Hope replaces awareness. Hope becomes a delay mechanism when identity goes unchallenged. You don't need another year. You need a different self-concept. Stickman stands at December 31st, promising change without questioning the identity making the promise, and that's why January keeps lying to you. Each year, the same pattern is repeated. Not because you're lazy, not because you failed. You repeat it because the part of you that decides your actions, the part you call who you are, never evolved. You call it responsibility. You call it stability. You call it being realistic. But look closer. Underneath all those labels, it's not wisdom. It's familiarity protecting itself. Comfort masquerading as identity. Your habits, your choices, your limits, all these things feel safe because they are familiar, not because they are serving your evolution or your potential. And every time you follow the same scripts, the illusion of stability strengthens. The middle-class identity silently enforces itself, and you obey without questioning. This isn't about money, it's about the internal programming that quietly keeps your life predictable, repeatable, and the same year after year. The identity you keep reconfirming. You don't repeat the same year because nothing changes. You repeat it because your identity keeps choosing familiarity over friction. Every January, you tell yourself this is the year things feel different. And every December, you realize you live the same emotional patterns again, same fears, same approvals you protected, same risks you avoided, same version of yourself you quietly stayed loyal to. That's the trap. Middle-class life doesn't just happen financially, it happens psychologically. It is constructed on unseen regulations to which you never explicitly agreed. Do not stand out too much. Don't make people uncomfortable. Don't change faster than your circle. Don't want more than what feels reasonable. So you keep proving you're responsible, predictable, safe, consistent, and in the process, you keep confirming the same identity year after year, even when nothing is technically stopping you anymore. Here's the uncomfortable question to sit with. Which rule do you keep obeying that no longer fits the life you say you want? That answer tells you more about your future than any number ever could. So let me ask you something uncomfortable. Which part of your identity are you still repeating every year just because it once kept you safe? Drop it in the comments. I want to know which loop finally showed itself. Stickman out.